You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
The following broadcast is brought to you by Marked Out Wrestling Podcast. Marked Out Wrestling Podcast is not affiliated, nor do our opinions reflect those of WWE, NXT, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, or any other professional wrestling promotion.
This is a lesson to everyone in the women's division. That's your fate. That's your fate when you cross us. And Asuka? You say there's no competition left? Please. We've got your competition right here. So Asuka, when you find the guts to face us, we'll be waiting to teach you exactly who calls the shots around here.
Those girls are no competition. They need you.
I hope DIY were watching very, very closely because this could very well be their future.
All roads lead to San Antonio. And we don't care if it's DIY or the Revival. My authors of pain are on a seek and destroy mission to become NXT Tag Team Champion.
Uh-oh, get ready!
DDT!
Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
It's going to San Antonio!
Here we go again. Smart Mark's welcome. Fruity Pebbles, be warned. This is NXT.
Well, you might be wondering why we have the same entrance as last week. Why we have the same audio clips from NXT as last week. Well, because NXT, and I don't want to use the term phone it in because they absolutely did not phone it in, but I think they did what we talked about in a variation with, and Brian, I'm just going to say main roster because it's just...
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that on the way here, actually, and yeah, it's main roster.
Yeah.
Main roster.
I understand the...
Right.
Yeah, I understand.
Right.
So anyway, so what NXT did, obviously, with so much time before Royal Rumble, and in this case, TakeOver in San Antonio, there's a lot of time to fill, and why not show an awesome pay-per-view, our awesome live event from Osaka.
Great card.
It was a great card, and we're going to talk about that card tonight. And we're also going to just briefly talk a little T&D.
I think we have to.
We have to. Well, mainly because one of our listeners has been blowing us up about it, and we just have to.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we're going to do so we got our takedown, and then we're going to have our spotlight segment with Big B-Rye here. And then we'll do the T&D, maybe a little open, some final thoughts, and then we'll call it a show. So welcome to NXT Takedown. Here's your housekeeping notes.
Housekeeping?
No, thank you. Sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Here are your Marked Out Wrestling housekeeping notes. Subscribe to our YouTube page, Marked Out Pro Wrestling Podcast, and listen to our live reaction shows throughout the week. Monday Night Rawsome, following Raw every Monday at 11:30 p.m. Tuesday night Smarkdown, following SmackDown Live every Tuesday at 11 p.m. NXT Takedown every Thursday at 2 p.m. Special live shows Sunday nights after every WWE pay-per-view. You can download our podcast on Podbean, iTunes, and other podcast providers the day after each WWE event. Follow us on Twitter and chat with with us throughout the week at Smart Mark Show. Send your thoughts and opinions via our email, markedoutpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us to get a better look inside our faction on Instagram at Marked Out Wrestling. Call us during a live broadcast or leave a message for a future show on our U Record Studios fan line, 704-444-0084. Like us on Facebook to argue politics and religion at facebook.com/markedout1. That's marked out the number 1. Finally, see what is coming up throughout the week on our website, www.markedoutwrestling.com. Get connected.
Mister, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna kick 100% of your ass!
Can you dig it, sucker?
All right, so let's do the weekly Marked Out Wrestling Podcast, NXT Takedown, and here are our takedown topics for the evening, or for the afternoon, I should say.
Afternoon.
It is the afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah.
The sun is out. It's 70 degrees on December the 29th.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on?
Anybody who denies climate change is completely moronic.
Right. I mean, how can you not?
Yeah.
I don't.
Halloween, I wanted to do a fire pit out in my driveway with my kids, and I couldn't even do the pit. It was like 70 degrees on Halloween night. Christmas Day, I was out in my shorts.
I'll take it. I don't mind it.
Not now. 10 years from now, if the trend continues, then it's going to be like bubble cities.
Yeah, then
that's no fun.
No,
it's not wrestling, though.
No bueno.
No, it'll be like total nonstop deletion.
That's going to take a lot out of me, man. Oof.
Yeah, it was a tough one. All right, here are our topics for the takedown. Number 1, I'm seeing greatness. Number 2, a tale of two Aussies. And number 3, you win some, you lose some. So let's jump into our first one. Number one, I'm seeing greatness, and we saw the match with how you say Oni Lorcan. Is that say?
Oni Lorcan.
Oni Lorcan. All right, Oni Lorcan and Cien Almas, and we're not going to recap the match so much, Brian, as kind of react to what we saw. It's a throwaway match as far as consequence goes.
Sure.
But what it showed was just, and it's Japan. I understand that. I understand that in Japan, the technical aspect of professional wrestling is much more appreciated.
Right.
Right. They enjoy and they react to certain situations in the ring.
Especially that match. It stuck out for sure.
Yeah, it was very technically sound. It was a great move set between the two of them. But again, Lorcan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lorcan is a great, phenomenal, if you will, performer.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, he's only 31, too. So, I mean.
Oh, good.
But he came from Killer Kowalski School.
Okay.
He trained over there, and obviously we know who. They have a good reputation for training people.
They do indeed.
The man with 3 H's.
The man with 3 H's, which
there,
we will bring that up.
Right.
The man with 3 H's.
But then he went over to Chaotic Wrestling. And then actually he spent some time there, and he went to, he was also a student of Lance Storm's.
Of Lance Storm.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean his promo ability is going to be horrible?
That's the one thing. I mean, I think he's one of those guys that just kind of, his business is handled in the ring. I don't necessarily think he has to really be one of those talkers.
See, I could see, I was watching it and I was saying, with Lorcan.
Oni Lorcan. It is kind of, it's hard to get used to. He used to be Biff Busick. That's a little bit better.
I don't know if that's better.
That kind of rolls off the tongue. I don't know.
Biff Busick. But Lorcan, I can totally see him doing some Cesaro work.
Yes, the uppercuts. He's got the same kind of look too.
Same look, same and if he's not going to be a gem on the mic, neither is Cesaro necessarily.
Right.
But what stuck out at me more in this match is again, Cien Almas, who I think is just destined for greatness when it comes to I wanted to title this "I'm Seeing a Heel." I'm seeing a top heel, and what it goes to with me, Brian, is every time we've seen the call-ups, if you want to call it that, to the main roster, we always say, well, NXT is going to be depleted now. What is NXT going to have left if they bring up this guy and this guy and this guy? And every time we're wrong. Every time they fill that gap and the divisions are either just as good or better than they were previously.
I mean, more so now just because they're taking outside talent, and rather than just, signing guys and creating their own people, they're already taking guys they're already seasoned, if you will, and then just kind of tweaking them a little bit and letting them go.
Yeah, that is one thing I did notice. Real quick, let's say JVL Shadow on the board. Welcome to the show.
What's up, man?
He's saying Oni's promos are similar to Ciampa's.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But what I was just thinking here is you were talking about the talent they're bringing in, it's already seasoned.
Yeah.
And it seems like and it really hit me this week, and maybe I should have noticed it before. But what really hit me is NXT was FCW, right? FCW, and it was a talent. What's the word I'm looking here? Talent developmental program, right? And they were bringing in these guys that were either football guys in college, maybe a little indie work, but kind of green as green can be.
Oh yeah,
and turning them into wrestlers WWE style. And it seems like there's been a major shift in how NXT is being produced or being the roster's being filled, where you're not seeing these guys like the guy we talked about last week, Kenneth Crawford, no experience at all, coming in learning the trade. You're seeing these guys come in who have decades under their belt, mainstaying the roster. So I'm just kind of curious, is NXT losing that identity as a developmental program?
I think so. I mean, I think what we're seeing right now, we're definitely seeing another brand.
Yeah.
I mean, I can easily see them. I don't know if they'll ever do it, just because I think they like having the idea that NXT is kind of
the pipeline.
Exactly. Right. So I don't think they'll ever. Who knows? I mean, maybe they will maybe do like a Civil War kind of thing and have NXT versus WWE. I don't know.
I could totally see that happening, but in the meantime, I don't know how they would make it work with two different brands in the competition. I mean, they've already got two brands at Raw and SmackDown going. We see the ratings for SmackDown taking down Raw this here at the end of the year.
But I mean, this is its own brand.
It is its own brand. No, I completely agree with you. But I don't see Vince allowing that pipeline to be shut down. And if you're constantly pulling the talent out from the other brand, it's not like WCW where the people were, contracts were ending and they were re-signing with somebody else completely different. I mean, this is the same HR. It's the same overall management window. It's just its own division with its own lower management level. Upper management is exactly the same. So I can't see this ever being a viable option as far as another brand going, as long as there's still that pipeline.
Well, I wouldn't say, and when I said Civil War before, I don't think that they would actually do that.
Well, they could do it as a storyline, maybe.
Perhaps. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what they're capable of? I just think that I don't think they'll. NXT used to be obviously just kind of a developmental thing, but now obviously they're bringing in all these guys that they can just go. They could just put them in there and
put them in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make the Indies once again the de facto developmental region?
It's the circle of life. I mean, you could say that this is kind of a new thing, but it's been going on for
Sure.
how long? I mean, how long have we seen? There's going to be promotions that are going to be picking guys from other promotions, and then they, and that's how you get to the top.
You're right.
But I mean, now the thing that we're seeing that's changing is WWE's. They're being way, way more flexible in working with some of these indies.
It almost feels like and I know we're off the subject of the match here, but it almost feels like WWE has gone. They're like a virus spreading through the indie market. You see that with the new UK championship, and they're going to pick off all the UK
in a
talent.
good way, though. I mean,
the question is it in a good way? Because what we've seen with 205 Live is we've seen that they brought it in as an indie kind of promotion, very wrestling oriented, and it didn't get over well at the beginning with the main roster crowd. So Vince has taken over, him and Kevin Dunn, and they're making it into main roster product. They're making it into another main roster product.
Right.
So if they're going into these areas rather than promoting the actual talent there and what they do to get over there, if they're going to these indie promotions and saying, no, we're just going to hijack your promotion and turn it into WWE Light and still keep our own creative element into it, to me, it's kind of a black plague of the indie market. I mean, in a sense, I know there's places that WWE probably will never get their hands on. They probably won't get their hands on Ring of Honor.
No.
They probably won't get their hands on PWG, which are, both mainstay huge names in the indie market. To me, it feels like WWE said, we can't buy a WCW anymore, but what we can do is we can cast a huge shadow over the indie market, which kind of was our only competition at this point.
Yeah, I mean, but if you look at it from like a worker's point of view, I mean, the ultimate goal is really you want as many people, you want to be seen as much as possible. And obviously WWE, they can do that. They have the platform to put you on, you'll be seen globally.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think there's a lot of pluses in it. I just kind of see it as a deal with the devil where you might get...
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, you might get all you want but there's going to be a catch at the end, and you're going to go, fuck.
Right. But I think it's still a little early to kind of, I mean, this is still very new, and we still haven't I mean, this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg, too.
Yeah.
I mean, with now there's rumors that they're going to be having streaming some indies. And even the UK belt that they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
They already came out and said that. Ooh, I'm going to spill my coffee.
Oh, don't do that.
They already came out and said that that the belt will be able to be defended on other indies.
Oh, so it's not going to. I thought it was just
in the UK.
In the UK,
right?
Oh yeah, they're going to defend it at indie shows in the UK. So
right.
again, WWE putting their stamp on it. So I don't know. There is plus or minus. Jumping back to the match, though, just kind of the point I want to make about Cien Almas, and I've been on him. I've been over with him for a couple weeks, and it took me a while with him. I know he has a big name beyond all of it, beyond WWE, NXT, whatever. I know he's got some historical relevance in his timeline. But for me, it took a while, and maybe that was creative's fault. Maybe that was my own fault. I'm not sure. But watching him in the ring, not only as a performer, as an in-ring worker, his great moveset, very dynamic, Brian, but I also just really notice the subtleties of the heel.
Mm-hmm.
Just the what we don't see on the main roster a lot, and it's much better at NXT and much better with some of these indie talent that are coming into NXT. Is we see storytelling again, and we don't with main roster. They're so scripted, they're so produced that every match is the same match. So there's no story being told here. And what I noticed tonight with all of the matches, honestly, was I noticed a real story being told, and Cien was telling that story of. He was the heel. He was the cocky one that I didn't need to be in this match. This guy's no competition for me, and you should relish in the fact that I am just simply in the ring, point blank, period.
Right, and correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he also kicked his hand out, right, when he tried shaking it in the beginning of the match?
And it wasn't an aggressive kick. It was it was a lazy kind of like, whatever, bro.
Yeah, I'm better than you. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I'm not even going to give you enough force on this kick to really make it sting. Just kind of a slap to the face.
Listen, I mean, if he keeps on going on the trajectory that he's on right now, I mean, I could see him filling that void that, I know that they want to have kind of certain wrestlers kind of appeal to certain markets, and he's one of those guys that can fill the shoes of Alberto Del Rio that just kind of,
sure, minus a lot of the booze and the women, but
right.
But yeah,
I just mean in terms of his style and stuff, and I know that they've been outspoken about having someone that kind of,
they need a Latino presence.
Oh, for sure.
And Vince usually goes heel when he does that.
Right.
Because Tito Santana was a bust.
But I can also see him. I can see him being the cool heel too, and kind of getting over too. I mean, he has that look. So
kind of like Eddie, where he can just
exactly.
He's a dirty player. He's nasty as can be. He's just outright mean, but you just love every minute of him.
Yeah, and he's only 27 years old. So
Almas is.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
he's young. I thought he was older.
No, he's been wrestling for a while. I think he was in CMLL.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but
is that
Mexico.
like a Mexican
promotion? Yeah.
Okay.
Right. But I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay. It's all right. It's the afternoon. We sleep in. So I just, for me, I know Bobby Roode is probably on the fast track to the WWE roster.
Yeah.
They're going to fast track him, whether he beats Nakamura or not, whether it's after Mania or not, he's on the fast track. So you're going to have that gap to fill, and I think Cien has the potential to be that top heel, especially with the rumors of Austin Aries. When he comes back, he's right in 205.
And something also subtle to mention too. I mean, this isn't the first time that we've seen Almas, kind of wrestle a guy and put him over. I mean, that's kind of a nod to him.
Yeah.
WWE or NXT, creative, they're letting him work with these guys and have these great matches, and he's putting them over. And I mean, if he keeps doing that, I mean, it's just going to be.
I wonder
who
something,
knows? Yeah.
and maybe you know the answer to this, and maybe somebody on the board want to say hi to Gianna. If I said it right, hey, they say hey. Noah is on the board. Good to see you, Noah. Skipping school, probably still on vacation. Never mind. Okay. But I wonder this. I know with NXT, the producers, and if you don't know, basically, and I could be wrong on details here, but basically, when they're going to do a match, they go in there, and again, Fruity Pebbles, if you believe everything you see, you need to turn it off now. But what happens is these guys, hours and hours before the production, they come in, they work their match out with each other, and then they present that match to the producer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the producer says, okay, I like what you got, go with it, or let's add a spot here, or let's move that spot away here, or do this or do that, and then they come up with a final product, and that's what they show that night at whatever house show or TV taping they do. So I know in NXT, these producers are former talent. These are wrestling talents like Robbie Brookside and Billy Gunn, and on and on. Even Regal's in the house. So I know they're getting it from wrestlers, and we've talked about Triple H being a wrestler versus Vince being a booker. I don't know who the producers are on the main roster who do these matches, because I'm wondering when I watch NXT, and I said before, I love the storytelling in all these matches, and I don't see it on the main roster. And just to compare, because they're in the same company, do you have any idea, Brian, what's the difference here in the producers? Are they former wrestlers on the main roster?
On the main roster, I mean, yeah, all the you mean as far as the guys that are putting together the matches?
Yeah, well, the guys, I know the wrestlers themselves put them together, but there's somebody who comes in and vetoes everything.
Right, the agent.
The agent.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, why in the hell is NXT doing so much better at just match play?
They have the freedom of, they're on the network, so they don't really have to fill any kind of quota on USA or do all those silly plugs and unnecessary stuff that they kind of do. So I think that kind of helps in that sense.
Noah's asking, isn't Kevin Dunn the main producer for all products in WWE? Well, let's define producer as we're talking on. There's different levels of production.
Yeah, I think he's more of a creative, more of a storyline guy. I think what you're talking about is more in-ring work. Right?
A match producer.
Right. Those are always going to be...
a team leader, if you want to call it that.
Right.
And those are usually veteran wrestlers who help the newer wrestlers formulate their matches. Kevin Dunn, I think, doesn't have much input on NXT. I think that's Hunter and his crew of supervisors below him.
Yeah, his little pet project.
Yeah, that he put in place, and it just blows away. So let's go ahead and move on. Number 2, A Tale of Two Aussies. So we saw the Liv Morgan and Aaliyah match versus Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. I'm still on the selling block for Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. They haven't. I'm not over on them yet.
You're not over?
No, I'm not. And to me, because they seem, and I know they play the vicious role in their character, and that's fine. For me, I don't see it in the ring necessarily. I'm not saying they're bad in the ring because I don't want to be negative here. I think they're very promising, and they don't look rusty. They don't look horrible, and I know they have some experience in Australia as well.
Mm-hmm.
To me, though, there's an element of them that seems very diva-ish.
Yeah, a little bit. It's funny that you said that because I thought the same thing. Promising. That's a good word. Yeah. I don't think they're they're definitely working on their craft. I had nothing wrong with the match itself.
Not with them.
No, right.
Not with them. I did have a problem, and again, I don't want to be negative here and drop anybody or squash anybody, but to me, Aaliyah, and maybe because she's really, really new, but there were a couple moments in that match where it was a clear, like if you were practicing a move before the match and you went, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, fall back. There was a couple moves in there where it seemed like Aaliyah was step 1, step 2, very slow motion, very by the numbers movements, and not to mention her face throughout the match, the expression on her face was not selling me on I'm getting beaten by 2 evil women. It was I'm really happy to be here and make sure I get my next move set right, or my next move,
worried about the next spot that's going to happen.
Exactly. So she didn't sell me on that, but as far as I think Liv Morgan over his hell with the crowd. In the ring, I'm still kind of iffy. She probably needs a little bit more work, but she produces. She's fiery. The crowd gets into her. But Royce and Kay are clearly the future of this division once Asuka kind of moves on. So to me, what more do we need out of Billie Kay and Peyton Royce to really get them over?
I mean, I think it's they still need time. I'd say keep doing what they're doing, but I mean, I have no problem with. Like I said, I know who'd you say it was Aaliyah.
Aaliyah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it's for. I mean, we go back to this being a developmental. It's supposed to be a developmental place, and this is the side of it.
So maybe we're expecting too much.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have Bobby Roode and and Ember Moon and all the people that are ready to go, but then we also have we still have NXT.
Yeah.
Even as good as even as we have all these big names coming in, it's still NXT, and we're gonna have these. Not call-ups, but the people that are still trying to kind of find their way.
I think they need to get more. I think they need to get rougher in the ring with their moveset. I think they need to keep the same moveset, but I don't know. There's an element of aggressiveness I'm just not seeing in the ring.
I think that'll come. I think that'll just come with repetition.
Well, JVL says here, really good. Is that their characters? They seem like failed Batman villains, and I kind of do see that.
That's an interesting
It's like
take.
Poison Ivy and her sidekick. You know, it's there is an element of cartoonish to them where I see they want to be hard and aggressive right here and all that. It does seem kind of like a Batman villain gone
That's
wrong.
a good point.
That's a really good point, JVL. Gianna says, who are your favorite wrestlers growing up? Sure, we'll swing off for a minute. Favorite wrestler growing up. Now, I'm 39 years old, so if I went back to my childhood, Hulk Hogan would obviously be the answer there. Growing up in my teens and my 20s, from when I did watch, I would have to go. Man, I would go Taker or Stone Cold. Stone Cold would be a hard-fought battle there. What do you think, Brian? Growing up,
I really liked watching Andre the Giant. I thought he was crazy.
He was crazy.
Even just looking at him.
Yeah, and he didn't have to do much.
No, not at all. Not at all. But as far as more, I guess, of a worker, I got to give it to Austin.
Austin, yeah. He was just all around.
Yeah,
he really understood the business.
He did, and talk about people going, full throttle. I mean, that guy was just going
all the time,
a million miles a sec.
Yeah,
every single match.
He wanted to be number one. Let's see here, just to jump back on the board before we move on. Steve Awesome, hey Stevie. Billy and Peyton are best suited as tag partners, not ready for singles yet. And I agree with Stevie there. I think that keep them as tag partners, keep them as a little thing, but I wouldn't propel them to Asuka just yet.
They're not. They're not.
I think that would hurt them, honestly.
Definitely.
Okay, John. One more. Who was the best wrestler when you were younger? The best wrestler? That's a really vague question, honestly. Best wrestler as far as how do you mean? For me,
yeah, you could take that any kind of way.
Yeah, for me, the best wrestler as far as like the overall work would be Ric Flair.
Yeah, I was going to say Flair.
Yeah,
even Hitman.
Hitman as far as in ring, maybe Hitman. Yeah. That's a tough question to answer, man. Okay, so let's we got Peyton Royce, we did Billy Kay, we did the girls there. So let's move on to topic number 3.
Let's do it.
3.
Topic number 3 is going to be kind of a three-way topic 3 matches. Here we go. We got you win some, you lose some. And the top 3 matches here in this pay-per-view from Osaka, Japan featured all Asian talents versus not.
Yeah.
So we had DIY versus who was the first one? We had Tajiri and Tozawa, right?
Yes.
And that match, I love the way that I don't talk about this for a second.
Yeah. So we had Tajiri and Tozawa, and I don't know. I mean, for this match, obviously the roles were kind of switched a little bit, just because we had DIY kind of playing the role of the heel kind of side of things. So it was kind of interesting seeing how they would kind of juggle that. But I mean, as far as the match goes, I mean, it was everything that I expected and more. One of my favorite parts about it was Tajiri spitting the mist, and not even when he just did it in the beginning of the match.
In the air.
Oh, yeah, and just kind of saying, hey.
You think he taught Hunter how to do that?
Taught Hunter? What do you mean?
Well, Hunter does the
maybe. Who knows?
That's pretty. I've tried to do that, and I ended up just spitting on my face. Just one big glob in the
air. I don't
think
I've ever tried doing it before.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't.
No?
No.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Probably bad. I went into this match expecting, and I missed what you said because I had to go handle something real quick.
Yeah.
But I went into this match expecting, Tajiri did look like an old man. But you know what? He's old, but he's still going. He's probably doing better in the ring than I could do, honestly. Definitely Brian, because Brian has trouble, moving.
I can't really move around right now.
Yeah.
I was wondering, though, what about, do you think who's going to be the first? I know this is kind of a little going off topic, but not really. But do you think he could be a Hall of Famer, Tajiri?
Oh, I think it would be foolish not to.
ECW, I mean, he's been around forever.
Well, he did WWE.
Japanese.
He did WWE.
But I mean,
WCW, ECW, New Japan.
I don't know if he did WCW.
Did he not do? I
don't think he wasn't a WCW guy. ECW for sure. Then he went to WWE.
I'm thinking Muda. I'm thinking Great Muda. Yeah, okay. Why wouldn't he be?
Right.
I mean, I think that would be absolutely foolish. And we've seen a lot of him recently. An NXT takeover he did, and then last night there was a couple other spots where we saw him. I think he was in the CWC,
mm-hmm.
and I'm wondering if all of this appearance by Tajiri out of nowhere this year is a setup for him to enter the Hall of Fame. Kind of a, hey, everybody, remember who this was, so when they announce him, there's more of a pop from the newer fans that might not know him as people like us.
Yeah, that's a good take.
But so, I mean, that match, DIY, Tajiri, Tozawa, everything I thought it would be. Perfect, excellent, technically sound. These guys are destined for greatness. I just don't know. I don't know what the ceiling is for guys like Gargano and Ciampa when it comes to WWE itself.
I mean, I'd hate to see them leave and say, for example, go to the cruiserweight division and just kind of
flounder.
Yeah. I think, I think there's definitely more for them.
I think it's the Rey Mysterio effect where, you know what, sometimes guys are bigger than what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And Gargano and Ciampa, with their moveset, with their aggressiveness, with how they can battle with people like the Authors of Pain and Revival, they are bigger than what they are. Where they might fit in that cruiserweight category, if you use them there, you're misusing them. They need to
agree.
They need to be top card guys. They really do. Perennial champions that deserve it, honestly.
I mean, maybe they do stick around and stay as a tag team, move up to the main Raw, SmackDown or Raw, whichever, and enter. I could see them kind of going and staying as a tag team for sure.
Yeah. And let's see, one more thing on this match. We got JVL saying it's a good. We had this conversation. Who could GM 205 Live? He's saying Tajiri could GM 205 Live. That would be interesting. I mean, his English is not exactly the greatest, but he's been around long enough to speak it.
Yeah, but I don't think he's ever even on WWE TV. I mean, he never really spoke English, did he? I mean, maybe did they do it in the beginning of the CWC, those promos? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I'm trying to remember him speaking. I remember just being very choppy when he did, if he did. Maybe worse than Nakamura.
I don't know. I think I can't. I just remember sticking out specifically the stuff that he did with Regal, and Regal was kind of his interpreter.
Yeah.
Even though he never even really knew what he was saying.
I could see Tajiri being more like the bodyguard for Vince or somebody in charge, attack him or something like that. It's a ruthless guy in the background. Anywho, so the other match featuring a native, what's the word? How would you Japanese?
What? Japanese?
Like a Texan?
A Japanite.
Japanite?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Somebody tell us how to do that. I don't know. All right, so here we go. Asuka and Nia, which is it's a replay. We've seen this one before, and it was a good match. What I loved about this match beyond anything else is, and I mentioned it earlier, was the storytelling. What a great giant versus David, Goliath and David's story. I mean, just the constant battle just to get Nia down, and the constant battle to the old school jump on their back, sleeper hold. To me, Asuka is great. And Nia doesn't get a lot of credit because she's a big girl that doesn't have a huge moveset. She's a giant. Giants don't get a lot of credit.
Yeah.
But you have to give credit where credit's due as a sell. And Nia, to me, sold that match for Asuka's benefit. I really enjoyed it. I felt like I was watching an old match again where it was like Coco Beware versus Bam Bam Bigelow.
Right.
There's no way he can beat him. He fights through it and perseveres with just patience, timing, and opportunity.
What do you think, though? Do you think that was more of a Japanese style of a match, or was it kind of more of like a throwback? To me, I kind of saw it as more of like a throwback, almost like an 80s kind of match.
Oh, no, exactly my point there is, it was not a Japanese style match. I mean, Asuka did some strong style, but, that's her style.
Yeah.
But to me, the whole setup, the whole story of it was a throwback to an earlier era when, it was popular for the villain or for the hero to take down the villain who was superior in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really enjoyed that story. I really enjoyed the fact that, and I say that Nia gets a lot of credit for selling that giant role and allowing Asuka to get over the way she did. But you got to give credit to Asuka. We always talk about her in-ring work, which is great. But you got to give credit to her character as being, you could see in her face and in her actions, she was, I don't want to say frustrated, but it was like, I'm giving up, but I can't give up. And I got to keep trying. That scratch and claw to try to make it happen. I really felt that match. I felt the story of the match.
I agree. I think out of all the women wrestlers, I think that she has, as far as facial expressions go in the ring, I mean, it's very telling of what you think that she's feeling as you're watching her, just by looking at her at her expressions. And not all wrestlers can do that. And I think that, just like you said, I think she's one of the ones that is great at it.
Yeah. So all around, not a high flying, not a dynamic match, not technically
didn't need
crazy,
to be. Didn't need to be.
But it didn't need to be, right. It was I enjoyed this match. All right. And then finally we had Nakamura and Joe, which we saw this already 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
This is where Nakamura first got it back. Then he defends it again in Australia. So, I guess we take away from that, and we don't have to do much on this because we already kind of covered it. But my takeaway with that one was, again, how the story was being told, where the match started, and it seemed, and just like they did in Australia, it was combative. They were playing that they absolutely hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't care about all the pop and circumstance. They were ready to get down to action and fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's Joe's MO. I mean, they don't even the story was great, but I mean, these guys didn't even really need it. I mean, if this could have just happened in the ring, I didn't even see anything else story-wise or anything, I still would have been blown away by just how hard-hitting and everything, and just the
Yeah. You got to know in these situations with somebody like, because Shinsuke is kind of dangerous anyway in the ring, intentionally or not, and Joe.
So is Joe,
and Joe also is as well. So you got to know these guys before they come out. They go, don't hold back.
Yeah.
When you hit me, hit me. Like even Asuka had a thing tonight where she did last night where she did a backhand and hit Nia in the jaw,
mm-hmm.
and there's no way that was sold, not generically. It was a generic. She popped her. And you saw Nia kind of go, do it again.
Right.
So I'm loving the fact that these are old school wrestlers that know that, you know what, we know how to throw a punch, we know how to sell a punch, but sometimes we actually need to punch.
I mean, one of the oldest rules is, if you give it to me, I have, I'm going to give it right back to you. And
right.
that's just kind of the code. And
exactly. When you're chopping my chest to the point that it's red as a strawberry, I'm going to give it back to you. Don't get mad. I'm not getting it.
Oh, no, it's just business, brother.
It's how it is, man.
Right. It's
just how it is. All right, so there you go. There's our takedown for this show. I had my thing here. I can't find my song. Oh, well. Maybe I still have it somewhere, Brian. Oh, here it is.
You can find it. I have faith.
There it is. All right, so that was our takedown for our three topics for tonight. Again, not much storyline-wise for NXT this week. They did a very good move in pulling in the pay-per-view or the house show from Japan. Great matches. They don't need to tell a story. They got weeks to do that before TakeOver. So let's move into our Spotlight segment. I'm going to turn this over to our Heavy, our former indie great himself, Brian Heavy.
Indie great.
BJ Lawton, brother.
BJ, Jesus. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Johnny Gargano, a.k.a. Mr. Johnny Wrestling.
Mr. Wrestling.
Mr. Wrestling.
Or Johnny Wrestling. Johnny Wrestling.
Wrestling.
Damn it, yeah.
So he debuted in 2005. He was trained by Josh Prohibition and JT Lightning.
I don't know those guys.
I don't know if you're familiar with them.
No.
Josh Prohibition, I want to say he was more of a hardcore guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Like Sabu hardcore?
I think, I don't know if anyone on the board can back it up, but I want to say like more of like a death match.
A death match?
I could be wrong.
Okay.
Either way, I mean he's from it's trained in Cleveland All Pro Wrestling. Some of the promotions he's worked for, I mean, you can see him in Chikara, Dragon Gate USA. Obviously, he's been in Evolve. That's kind of where that relationship. He was one of the first guys, if you remember, when there was always the news that broke that William Regal was kind of backstage at the Evolve shows, and no one really knew what his role was. But fast forward to now, obviously he was kind of just kind of almost being like a what's the word?
A recruiter.
A recruiter, yeah. But
talent scout.
Yeah.
So Evolve. Now explain. Because you got to talk to me like I'm a kindergartner here, Brian.
Let's hear it.
So Evolve, as far as it's a promotion, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Now rank that Evolve when it comes to PWG and Ring of Honor.
Right
I know,
there.
Right there.
Well, so I mean, if you're gonna Ring of Honor, I would say is more of they're closer on level with TNA and WWE.
Okay.
And then I would say I would put PWG, Evolve is right there. Oh yeah, absolutely. And especially now with the relationship that they have that that who's it? Gabe Sapolsky. He's the
right.
the
So
the owner.
third tier in levels of production, but not in talent.
Used to be.
Okay.
Well, not definitely not talent, production wise, and that's going to change with the whole Flow Slam TV thing. That now they're going to be having their own essential WWE Network, but with indies. So now the whole landscape is changing. I digress.
Okay.
Let's talk about Johnny Gargano.
Gargano,
right?
sorry. There you go.
That's okay. So Evolve, PWG, and he did wrestle for Ring of Honor, and he had a cup of coffee in TNA too, but nothing really.
Okay.
Nothing really major. Some things worth noting, though. He held the Open Freedom Gate Championship, which is that was Dragon Gate USA's. That was their main belt.
Okay.
He held it for 873 days.
Wow. Was there comparable talent at the time?
Absolutely.
He was just running
Evolve.
through people.
Oh yeah. So he's having great matches. I want to say Ricochet was there. I think actually Ricochet beat him for the title. He's the one that broke his record. Timothy Thatcher. But there's a bunch of guys that are, that you're kind of seeing now in PWG and even Ring of Honor too, and some even in WWE. All those guys, like I said, Evolve is kind of right on the doorstep of Ring of Honor and WWE. Let's see. But so obviously he was working for Evolve, and then he tried out. He had the WWE tryout camp in June 2015. He signed a contract in April of 2016. So he was kind of working those handshake agreement almost, it seemed, and kind of working some WWE or NXT shows, as well as doing some of the Evolve shows too, and
sure.
Kind of bridging that gap from, he was one of him and Ciampa were the guys that came over. They were doing the Indies thing and kind of showing up on NXT, and everyone was kind of, what the hell's going on?
Do you think everybody was, who are these guys, or what the hell are they doing here?
What the hell are they doing here? They definitely,
because they were doing stuff. You're saying they were doing stuff simultaneously, almost.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. And then I'll close it out. Some matches I'd like you guys to check out, Rob especially. I know I'm always sending shit to you, and
yeah,
like I said, I don't know if anything sticks, or I don't know, or I'll send it to Adam and even Stevie and all you guys. Johnny Gargano versus I don't know if you've heard of him, Kevin Steen, some guy that used to wrestle.
Steen?
Yeah, Kevin Steen. I don't know.
I heard he's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was at PWG Bola 2013 Night 2.
Okay.
Go on YouTube, check it out. You can find it. And then he also had, I mentioned it before, but when he lost that title reign for 873 days, he lost it to Ricochet. And that was at the Ultimate, Dragon Gate Open the Ultimate Gate 2014.
It's your handwriting, Brian.
They have crazy names, though.
Your handwriting.
I know, I have shit handwriting. And then my favorite match, just because it was an awesome match, but also because I was there live in attendance.
Okay.
Him against his lady, Candice LeRae, at
I saw
Bola
that one.
2014 Night 3.
That was
holy shit.
That was really good.
And I want to say that was the opener for the match too.
That was the open match for the card.
For the card.
It was a really
having an intergender match right off the bat.
I tell you, every match I've seen with Gargano and Ciampa and Candice LeRae that you've sent me indie wise, I have been disappointed at none of them.
And I'm counting the days until she shows up. I really, really hope that she comes in for that women's tournament.
Yeah, well, I obviously I think it'd be a mistake because she seems to me she seems to be the biggest indie name as far as women go.
Yeah.
So, all right. So how long has Gargano or Johnny Wrestling rather? How long has he been in the mix? I mean, when did he start doing his thing?
As far as when did he start training? Or
yeah, just kind of like
11 years. So he's been wrestling for about 11 years.
11
now.
ye兒.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I want to say he was a backyarder too, like your brother right here, man.
Oh yeah, we're about to get there. I just it seems to me that the best talent we're seeing coming out, and no dig on WWE, but it seems to me are these homegrown indie guys.
It really is, and I just want to throw this out there. I was reading in an interview with Paul London, and he even said the same thing. He just said, "I felt like I was signed 10 years too early."
Yeah.
And it makes total sense. I mean, there's all these guys that, imagine if those names were here now and what they could have done, as opposed to, we'll feed them to Brock Lesnar and they'll get squashed, and then they'll show up on Velocity, whatever.
Or that guy with the 3 H's in his name.
Yes.
Will squash that young, or bury that young
promising talent.
Yes. Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Which brings us to this. And we've been getting flooded with people asking us to, especially Trollberg, asking us to do a little total nonstop deletion. So I confess I hadn't watched it. Now, I watched the first one. where it was just Brother Nero and
didn't we watch a second one a couple weeks ago? Weren't you there?
I wasn't there. It was you.
You weren't there.
Yeah.
You weren't there.
So we watched the tag team Apocalypto before we went on, actually, right before.
Yeah.
And I really don't know how to. It reminded me in a way of a throwback to the Carney days, but if Rob Zombie was part of it.
That's a good take on it. I honestly, I really, really, really was getting just chills of shit. WCW.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way that they're, and I don't want to shit on it because I do appreciate them just making a left turn and just going for it. So in that sense,
right to Vulcanvania.
Yeah, like I do like, it's refreshing. It's definitely different. I'll give it that.
I mean, there's segments in this where Abyss and his little partner, what's his partner?
Crazy Steve,
they literally kill people.
Yeah,
within the story, they literally kill people.
But how is that going to work in the realm of wrestling? So is he going to be? He's not going to be dead.
I don't know if you can put this in the realm of wrestling. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I did, but it was one of those enjoys where it's like I feel really uncomfortable in a lot of these segments. It's hard to watch.
It really is.
But I'm enjoying it.
Some things I mean, I just, oh God, what was the thing? Chain wrestling on the cranes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what in the fuck?
Yeah, man? The cranes come in, the volcano, the boat that moves on its own, that they were attacking the boat.
The boat has a name. I can't remember the name.
I don't know the boat name of the boat.
I don't know the name
either. His 1-year-old son, Matt Hardy's 1-year-old son. King Maxwell. Getting a pin at the very beginning of it. And then announcing that she's pregnant at the end. The dig at Triple H, Hurricane coming through, which you couldn't say his name because copyright, I'm sure.
Superhero.
Yeah. Right. The Rock and Roll fucking Express showing up, to me, which awesome because I was a big Rock and Roll Express fan as a kid. Bobby Lashley against Hornswoggle for that brief blink of an eye.
They mixed it up. What the heck?
I don't know if there's a way to analyze this as a wrestling fan. And I imagine somebody on here says that Jim Cornette had a stroke while he's watching it.
I believe that 1,000%.
You've got to know that these old school wrestling guys like Cornette and Jim Ross and maybe even Stone Cold. I think Stone Cold might be a little bit more open to it.
I think these.
What the hell ever? Right. Go ahead.
It's business.
It is business. But these old school guys got to be looking at this and going, "What in the hell? What are you doing?"
I think the biggest thing that they would have a problem with is the stuff. If they had all this fanfare and they had the exchanges in the ring because they had the ring outside, they had a ring set up outside. They also had one set up inside, I think too. All the stuff that they did outside of it, they were throwing people at the front gate. They were throwing people against the wall. It just it legit looked like backyard wrestling.
Yeah,
and it's just strange that in 2016 is on TV. When, backyard wrestling was looked at like if you were a backyard wrestler, like I never said I was a backyard wrestler when I started training. Like you wouldn't tell anyone just because everyone would shit on you if you did. Like,
right, you're a backyard wrestler.
Yeah, so now to see it on TV and now these guys are it's wild to think about, man.
Yeah, I would if somebody asked me should I watch it, I would say yeah, you should.
You should experience it.
But I'll be honest, if anybody's ever dipped and dived into the realm of hallucinogens, this felt like somebody wrote this after an acid trip.
I want to say it was a lot of Jeremy Borash. Jeremy Borash.
I could see that.
He had his hand in it.
I could totally see that. Let's see. Noah's saying that the boat is called the Dilapidated Boat.
Is that what it is?
Dilapidated.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's jump on to see JVL. The title match started before Apocalypto. Upload test, food for thought. Going back to SmackDown, the person portraying the La Luchadora may have just been a placeholder. And I saw something. What's the chick?
Very true.
There's a girl from TNA, I think. Her. What is her name?
I saw I can't remember what her name was when you sent that.
Yeah, I sat there and I did face comparisons, and I could see it actually being her. I can't.
I thought Tamina.
Not tall enough for Tamina.
You don't think so?
No, just not tall enough. Just not. Tamina has the body structure of a man. Yeah. She does. I'm not saying she's an ugly girl.
No.
I think she's actually kind of attractive.
I
do. But she's got the body. She's got manly shoulders, and she's a big girl.
She's a bigger girl.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
Not heavy set, but just a big girl.
Big girl.
She's Samoan.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? I'm just saying. What are you gonna do? So yeah, so total nonstop deletion. That totally happened. Real quick, JVL. So what? It ends up being Nia Jax after all. There's no way that's Nia Jax.
No, you cannot. That was not.
There's
Nia
literally
Jax.
no way. It's not Sasha Banks. It's not Nia Jax.
I
know we're way off topic, but yeah,
it very well could just be a placeholder. Like
it could be a placeholder, but I don't know. It's definitely not either one of them.
No.
Let it go, people. It would be not. Okay, that's just no. All right, so there we go. We did our takedown. We've done our spotlight segment. Johnny Wrestling. Thank you, Brian, for educating me today.
Hey man, check out those matches. Like I said, I'll send them to you again, and I'll tweet them out, and so that people can see which matches.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we did our total nonstop deletion moment. Maybe we'll do more of that on the other shows. Speaking of the other shows, don't forget Monday nights. We have Monday Night Rawsome following Monday Night Raw. We have Tuesday Night Smarkdown following SmackDown on Tuesday nights. After every pay-per-view, we do our live broadcast on YouTube as well. And then also here Thursday afternoon, take the NXT Takedown. I
like that name.
I like it too. That's why I came up with it. All right. So we'll just jump on here. Final thoughts for this show. Brian, final thoughts for our third show of Takedown, as well as the Osaka, Japan, and Total Nonstop Deletion. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for one excited for the NXT product and what we have kind of ahead of us. I mean, there are just so many guys that they can just, I mean, Austin Aries, Rude. I don't even have to name them, but I mean, I really don't know, who the next guy is, because it's not always the obvious choice that gets called up or brought up to the main roster.
And NXT's mixing that up.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really could be a handful of guys. So I mean, for one, I'm pumped to see. Also, I'm excited to see where Samoa Joe. I think he's on his way out.
I think he's a Rumble entrant.
Time.
I think it's an easy call there, Rumble entrant.
Hopefully, number 28.
Ooh.
You
want to get a Joe tattoo? You can do it.
I wouldn't mind.
You can do it on your own. You can just go get one made.
But that's all I got, man. I'm pumped for NXT, and I'm excited for next week.
Yeah. My final thoughts here is I'm really enjoying this show we're doing now is making me pay more attention to NXT, and and I always did pay attention, but not as detailed as I am now. So I'm really enjoying not just covering it, but maybe learning some more details here and there about these guys coming up. Because it is fascinating to see where people came from, how wrestlers are grown, are seeded and grown. And this is what NXT is all about. As far as Total Nonstop Deletion, just wow. I mean, it's just wow to me.
That's all it really is. That's what. Just experience it. You have to experience it.
And I agree with CT, who's on the board now. Is the best to me? I wouldn't call it the best part. There were a lot of really interesting part. Like when he killed him, he was like, and the dude was outside the cage. He was like, man, that dude dead. He dead. That was great to me. But the shoot on Triple H.
Oh, by far, everything was worth it. The build up for.
Did that just kick every WWE fan in the nuts in the aspect of everybody's been clamoring to have the Hardys come back for one more little run? Did that just kick him right in the nuts?
I don't think so. I mean, Hunter's a smart guy. I mean, I don't think he would. There's no way that if the opportunity arose where the Hardys can jump to WWE, I don't think that this would be something that he would be like, fuck those guys. They made a joke about me on TV. Nah, I think
he can move past it.
Yeah, or maybe, who knows? Maybe they even reached out and said, "Hey, I'm gonna
give you a little nudge.
Hey, I'm gonna rib you, brother."
I mean,
what?
Do we know if if those guys are cool outside?
I think they are. I don't think there's any.
So it
very real.
So
bad
it'd be like
blood.
if I dug at you, it would be like, oh, he's just
right.
fucking with me.
Yeah, I mean, everyone works in different companies, and so I don't really. And plus, I mean, they had their time in WWE, obviously. So
yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with it.
Let's see what the board says before we jump off for this afternoon's episode. JVL saying more weekday shows. Well, we'll see what we can do for you guys.
Yeah.
Final thoughts from Noah. Candice LeRae needs to get herself in her ass in NXT.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. Peyton Royce for women's champion, Samoa Joe for Rumble, and happy 2016. JVL, you guys should check out a Lucha Underground episode. We didn't mention Lucha Underground in all the promotions we talked about today.
We haven't.
And I agree. I have to confess, I have watched about 5 minutes of one episode of Lucha Underground ever.
I've watched a few episodes, never anything kind of, I was never really caught up in stories and stuff. I have watched full episodes before, and I guess it's almost as if you watch Total Nonstop Deletion and WWE if you kind of mix them, but it's not quite as crazy as Total Nonstop Deletion.
Yeah.
But as far as it's shot more of like a television show.
I've noted it reminds me of the original Raws, Monday Night Raws, in that little room in the hall, ECW room. It's got its own little room and balconies and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they have their own arena or it's their own set. So yeah.
I'll be honest with you for a second, guys. Is when it comes and I'm not taking anything away from Lucha Underground, PWG, anybody. I mean, all these guys are fantastic in their own right. All right. Even PWX here in the Carolinas.
Oh, yeah, it's a great promotion.
It's a great promotion. Here's my thing. So I watch about 4 or 5 TV series right now, right? I got Game of Thrones, and I enjoy Walking Dead. I like Doctor Who. I got my series that I watch, and I always get friends that come up to me and go, dude, you got to watch Breaking Bad. You have to. Or, dude, you got to watch this show or this show or this show. And I'm like, you know what, man? I got a busy life. I watch a lot already. I can't fit your shit in. I'm sure it's a wonderful show. Congratulations. There's 3,000 TV shows out there right now. Kind of the same thing what wrestling is. I cover Monday Night Raw with you guys. I cover Tuesday Night SmackDown with you guys. I cover every pay-per-view with you guys. Now we're doing NXT, doing a show for that, and we're trying to incorporate a little bit of TNA. We're trying to incorporate a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah, man, Lucha just might be that right outside of the ring. And I just can't get outside the ring right now.
I hear you.
Yeah,
it's a lot to cover.
It's a lot of fucking wrestling.
It's a lot of wrestling.
And if you guys start donating, giving us some money, and we can do this full time, then fuck it, I'll watch all of them. But until then, this is kind of what we're gonna get. Maybe if something big breaks from Lucha, we'll cover.
I want to say they did have a women's champion. I don't know if she still is champion, but she was like the champion of the promotion, like men over men too. Like they have intergender matches, which that's one of the big differences, and they do. Headshots too, I believe.
Yeah, intergender match. I miss those. Real quick, off topic. I want to ask a question here.
Mm-hmm.
With Linda McMahon possibly being the new head of the Small Business Administration, and we know when Linda ran for Senate that one time, and they went public with WWE, that's when the PG era came full effect.
Yep.
And they shoved it down our throats real fast. No more fun stuff. No fun club. Are we going to see this again? If she's going to be a cabinet member for President Trump, oh God, is WWE going to be affected again by her political ambitions?
Ah, man, that's a good question.
I mean, I don't expect you to know the answer.
No, I know. I mean, I know. I mean, she really doesn't have any kind of. She's not really a part of. I mean, when was the last time you saw her on TV recently or anything? You know what I mean? She's kind of taking a step back.
That's going to be her big when they grill her in the Senate for confirmation.
Absolutely.
It's going to be you have a program that highlights sexuality.
You had
violence.
HLA on your show,
right? Exactly right. So I don't know. That's a curious question for me. So yeah, you guys on the board. I appreciate you guys jumping in with us. We're gonna about an hour run time for these shows, so we got other stuff to do. Next Thursday we'll do it again, and so we wish you on behalf of Brian, the Heavy,
man,
and myself, we wish you a very happy New Year. And I just want to close out by saying, fuck you, 2016. You see,
it was a rough 2016.
You see who passed away yesterday?
The mom
of Carrie Fisher. What's her? Debbie Reynolds. I mean, just
awful,
just absolutely horrible. And I'm not sure, but I think somebody said today the guy who did Alf died. So I mean, Gordon Shumway.
Oh, he did. That's right. I saw it. Yep.
Yeah,
he did.
Hey, look.
I'm gonna go in a bubble and just kind of wait till January 1st.
Yeah, somebody do me a favor. Get Patrick Stewart, William Shatner, and what's the guy from Marvel? Stan Lee. Get those three for me, and you can pick some others too. Gary Oldman, whatever. Get those guys, wrap them in bubble wrap, stick them in a padded room, and watch them like it's that fucking movie where people die all the time.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray
get him in there, right?
What's that movie where everybody dies from the random things and they escape death?
Final Destination.
Yeah, this is some Final Destination shit. We need to find a padded room to hide all these celebrities in because this is getting outrageous.
It's insane, man. This is fucking banana land.
But so Stan Lee did not die. Stop it, Noah. Stop it. Okay. There we go, guys. Happy New Year. Marked Out Wrestling Podcast, NXT Takedown, our 3rd episode. Thank you so much for joining us. And as usual, you can mark out like nobody's watching. You can do the same smart time, same smart place. Or you can, we got to get a tagline for us to go out on. Something develop. I don't know. Develop a rash.
You put me
that
on the
doesn't
spot.
work. I know I did.
No,
We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. Anywho, you guys have a wonderful New Year. We'll catch you next time.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Marked Out Podcast is recorded, edited, distributed, and marketed at URecord Studios in Charlotte, North Carolina. For more information on optimizing your podcast for increased listenership, check out URecord on Facebook, Twitter, and email sales@urecordstudios.com or visit the website www.urecordstudios.com.
Yes! 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 Yes!
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows, visit electronicmediacollective.com.